Do not attempt to adjust your audio. There's a reason why the voice isn't matching up with the lip movements. It's because when I started to record this video, this race, I had inadvertently unplugged the microphone as I was trying to work with some other options on the technology. And so I recorded the entire, streamed live the entire race with no audio. I realized this right before the race, which was too late. This is the Zwift Headquarters FutureWorks Crit City Race, anti-sandbagging. This is a B race, which admittedly I'm right on the edge of the B category and the A category. In crits, perhaps it would be better if I raced in the A, but in a road race on Zwift, there's just no way I would survive as an A. So bottom line, the shorter the effort, the better I can do with my watts per kilogram. But I'm starting in B, first race in a long time, so you can get mad at me for racing in the Bs if you will. And here we are getting ready in the paddock. 3 minutes to go. You can see the little extra inset screen of my phone there to the left. That's why the audio wasn't working, because I was trying to get that plugged in and going. But we're in the paddock ready to go, and about 25 seconds left. I was still trying to get the audio working. That's me feverishly trying to do that. And then I finally was like, okay, I can't deal with this. Just got to jump in and do this race and forget about the audio. So put down the keyboard, get ready to go. This is an 8-lap race in Crit City. And so I knew I was going to have to start off hard. Interestingly enough, I started off hard, but it wasn't as bad as normal. So typically, I would be putting out this kind of effort, and there would be a huge group there, and I would be pretty much at the back. But today, that wasn't the case. So I was like, whoa, I'm going to ease off a little bit. That guy up there in front is definitely not going to be able to stay out there for all 8 laps. I need to get back in the field and conserve my energy for the final, because invariably I knew this was going to come down to a sprint, and I needed to be ready for that. And when I'm tired, I don't sprint very well. Here I was just getting used to what was happening, but right out of the beginning, I was disoriented. Something just didn't seem right. I'd raced this course before, or at least so I thought. I've raced in Crit City before, but something just was odd. And it really wasn't until I think the beginning of the second lap, I realized that we were doing it the opposite direction that I normally race this course. So even while we were going up this incline, this first grade, I was like, I know there's a climb at the beginning, but this just doesn't seem as steep as the other one. Something didn't seem right, and I still couldn't figure it out. Then we were coming down around. This is what I was thinking was the opposite direction. We typically go to that banner after climbing. So now we're heading down here in a moment. I still hadn't gotten it completely figured out at this point. I was more or less just trying to find my rhythm. And it was after we went under the banner for the start of the second lap that I was like, oh, okay, this isn't the same route I've raced before, so I've got to rethink how I'm going to approach this particular race. So here we come around through to begin the second lap. Now, I'm not going to record at normal speed the entire race. We're going to jump here momentarily to go to 4 time, because in the middle of the race things just kind of settle in, and basically all I'm doing is trying to stay in the group and not be too much on the front, but stay in the first 5 to 10 riders. Also, I'm paying attention to the power-ups. Thankful I was getting the feathers, so I was planning to use the feather on the climb. So at this point, I am doing pretty well. I am looking up and seeing 350 to 370 watts, and I know that that's pretty high for me to sustain for 20 minutes. So I made sure I kept falling back, making sure I was never on the front, or attempting never to be on the front, but still maintaining close to the lead. Here we go up the climb. Second lap, deploy my feather power up, and here I was thinking to myself, okay, feather power up, I need to start hoping that I can shed this one and pick up the arrow helmet. Now, I thought that at that banner we would also get another power up. Turns out you only get the power up at the start finish line. So again, it took me a couple of laps to figure that out, that I could only count on getting one there at the start finish. So momentarily here we're going to come around through the start finish. I'm going to pick up my next power up, then we're going to go to 4 time to speed up a little bit into the middle of the race. And there you can see the start finish, so I know that I'm going to come around through this downhill winding section, and then we're going to swing hard right to come around into the final 300 meters or so. So right now, okay, things are settling in. I'm getting into the rhythm. I'm nicely in the pack. I think here again I end up with a feather. So I'm like, okay, hope I get me that power up. But ideally, I would get the power up on the last lap after climbing. Now we're speeding up here. Here's 4 times, so things will move a little more quickly. Still up near the front. Still attempting not to go off the front. By this time, I definitely figured out, oh, okay, now I understand what we're doing. And I know that we're going the opposite direction that I was thinking before. And I was beginning to feel more comfortable with what we were doing. Yeah, it was that time through I realized, oh, I'm not going to get another power up from that banner. So if I'm going to get the power up I want, it's going to need to come at the start finish. And here we're slowing down for real-time speed because we're getting ready to go through the start finish, and I'm about to pick up my next power up, which you probably can tell from all the foreshadowing that I've been giving that I end up getting this time the arrow helmet. So going into the 4th lap, I'm going to end up with the arrow helmet, which is a blessing and a curse because I know I have the arrow helmet that I can use in the final sprint, but that means if I want to make sure I have the arrow helmet for the final sprint, here going into the 4th lap, meaning there are 5 laps left to go, I was going to have to just hang on to it and not have any power-ups. I was very thankful I never got hit with the burrito. I don't really care about the burrito. In a pack, what good does the burrito do you? So glad to have skipped that one. So we should be going here again to 4 times speed momentarily. Of course, that's the way crit races are. It's a lot of going around in circles. You can see all those power-ups, a lot of feathers going. Coming up to the beginning, first, second, third. I kept trying to look behind as far as at the numbers, the distance. It appeared that there was a very large group just staying together. There was not a time when I was toward the back and I saw a big gap to anyone behind me. So I figured we were all settling in and everyone was just there for the sprint. There toward the end, I think you could see I went back a little bit and you could see some folks behind, but still a very good, sizable group of guys coming toward this next lap, starting the 6th lap. By this stage, I was thinking to myself, okay, this is, unless someone really goes off, this might shape up pretty well for me. I'm not an incredible sprinter, but I can, typically if I'm there close enough, I can be in a top 3, top 5. So I know that if I'm at this stage in the race, then I pretty much am going to be able to get a top 10. So I just kept thinking, don't get too far up to the front, get in the blob, get as much in the group as possible so that you've got the draft, the blob surrounding you and just kind of pulling you along. Didn't seem like we were moving that quickly, but we were putting, 300 plus watts on a regular basis. Actually, when I finished this race, Zwift once again kicked me up a couple more wattage points on my FTP. I think it's amazing. The ride for Larry, that 12-hour ride on January 16th, along with my training to be able to do that 12-hour ride, I think it just boosted my fitness so much that I'm riding pretty well. My form is pretty good right now. We'll see how long that'll last. But I was happy with it. I've been surprising myself multiple times on events where I was setting, like in the Tour de Zwift rides, I was setting myself a goal of being in the top 100 or the top 75 and ending up in the top 30, which for me is pretty good on a longer ride like that. I hate the crits because you have to go so hard the whole time, but I love the crits because I don't have to ride so long, because when I ride long, it's the endurance that kills me. I can do 4.0 watts per kilogram for a crit, the entire crit, but I can't do that for those longer distance like the Tour de Zwift. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship. Here things started appearing to gap a little bit, though I think it was just stringing out, not really gapping, just stringing out as we were coming into the 8th lap, the final lap. And these guys, I was saying, okay, somebody's picking it up. They're wanting to get going. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the front because it's as though everyone slowed down as we were coming into the 8th lap. And that told me for sure someone was wanting this to be a sprint, or all of us wanted it to be a sprint. No one was going to try to attack. I haven't tried to attack in a crit a couple of times One time I attacked when we were going the opposite direction. I attacked on the climb, got over the climb, and into the final turns into the sprint section and just got swallowed up. It's probably the closest I ever came to having a breakaway, a solo breakaway in Zwift. But it is so hard to do that in Zwift. So invariably everything turns into a war of attrition unto the sprint. So we're getting ready to come up to the climb. I knew I needed to be coming over the top toward the front, but still not wanting to push too hard to get there. So I'm still in the blob, getting ready to come up. Now we're starting the climb, the final climb of the race. I noticed these folks, there's at least 3 people that are throwing down feathers. So I knew those guys up ahead of me there going with the feathers would not have a power up to sprint. And then there's another guy, I think he has a draft, and he also is not going to have a power up to use. So most of the guys in front of me don't have a power up. There was a little gap there that got away, and then all of a sudden you see there's this one guy here pretty soon. Yeah, I didn't, oh, there he pops up. He must have had the invisibility power up. So all of these guys right here, to my knowledge, none of them have a power up that they can use going into the final sprint. There may be 1 or 2 guys that come up. So I knew, having raced this before, there was the point I knew I was going to throw down my Aero helmet and then just put my head down and go to see what would happen. So here we're coming up on it. Yes, now we're going into the straight, put my head down, and this is actually a pretty cool finish. I'm powering through. Whoa, I just took that guy on the line, which was like, whoa, surprise, I made it. So I won that race, which was exciting, and we'll see what happens in the future. Come back for some more crit racing. Maybe try my hand on a little bit longer race and see if maybe this fitness is holding up. But the reason why I'm doing all this, as I keep reminding everyone, is for the I Do It For Foundation. And so I'm inviting you to go to idoit4.org, click on the Foundation Support menu item, and give to the I Do It For Foundation. We've raised $356 for our current project, the Ride for Larry, and that money goes to help pay for the administrative fees that are incurred when we're taking in the money for the Ride for Larry, which at this point is at nearly $11,000 for the family of Larry McKeithen. So please go to idoit4.org and give to the foundation so that we can help more Larrys and more doers like Michael and myself that are out there supporting our inspirations like Larry McKeithen. Hope you enjoy the video. Again, this is a throwback for me to those days when I used to do this on a more regular basis, and I hope you enjoyed it. Get out there on Zwift and have some great times being Zwifty after 50.